Hello everyone, welcome to our video tutorial about styles. To follow this video tutorial, you need to be with some text on your document. So to do so, you can decide to copy this first paragraph of the text that you're seeing. Then you can copy it and paste 3 times like you have seen, because it is the same text. Thereafter, we can move together. And with styles, these are the styles. We find these options under the Home tab. So this section is for the styles. As you can see the word styles. If you decide to work with styles, it means that you would like to structure your documents for professional appearance. And we also use this styles option if you would like to create headlines or headings for our tables of contents, as we shall see in our next tutorial. Now let's go through how we can use these styles. To do that, you have to first of all ensure that a text is selected, and for this case we are going to select this first paragraph or heading, which is reading Psalms 23, by clicking from the margin. So after clicking, we have this selected text. Then we shall make this Psalm 23 our heading to be heading 1. So we shall move our mouse piece to heading 1. So as you hover there, the pointer on this heading, you can see on our screen the size of the heading has also changed. So we click. After clicking, we see above this text or our heading there is some space which has increased. Then also the heading itself, the size has now increased to 14. That one can be seen from the font size tool. And also the color has changed to blue, but previously it was black. So by clicking on the heading 1 style, the paragraph and the font settings on this selected text is automatically changed. So this is what we are saying. This is the font group and this is the paragraph group. So those areas are automatically changed, but depending on this text that you have clicked or selected. Now let us click within this very selected heading of ours to deselect. Now we would like to see, if we look at this text here and we compare it with this one in heading 1, you'll see that where we see A, capital A and small a, capital B and small b, they are looking just the same as this text that we assigned as our heading 1. So this is what we call the style. You can see it is not looking like these other styles that we have and maybe the rest. So this means that in these styles, the styles that you may select, for example around these ones we are seeing, they give you just the preview of how your selected text may look like, and that's why we have this looking like that in that heading 1 option. This means that if we have very many headings in our document, we can just decide to use these styles to make them look the same. For instance, we are going to select on this second heading of ours. So after selecting, we can simply go to heading 1 and we click on it. So when you click, you can see it is having the same font as in this first heading we had. So we can also do the same by selecting the last heading, which is prayer, and we simply click on heading 1, and it will have still the same appearance as the rest of the headings. This is how you can make your headings to look professional and having the same appearance. So we can click aside to deselect this last selection. what is important with our documents is that every text that we have in the document is always connected to these styles. For instance, we looked at our heading 1, which is Psalm 23, is connected to heading 1. Now, if we click on this paragraph for this text, you can see that it is showing us it is connected to the normal style. So that is what we have to know, that every text in the document is always connected to a style in the styles group. So despite of these settings that we have on our headings, this doesn't mean that we are limited to these settings. We can decide to change, for example, here the font style. So we select this heading and we make it maybe this font style, Batang. We can also go ahead and we change the font color of heading 2. We make it maybe red, and so on. Even this one, you can decide to change it, maybe reduce the font size. So we can make it 10. It doesn't matter which style you have assigned to these headings. And it doesn't mean that when you assign those headings styles, then you cannot go ahead and make changes. Now you can see we have made changes to our different 3 headings, but we have to note that the settings in heading 1 style will remain fixed to these heading styles. For instance, now we have this last heading, prayer. We can go back and click on heading 1. So by clicking on heading 1, you see that this heading is restored or taken back to its previous look. So whatever changes that you make on these headings does not affect the heading style on your documents. But what if we wanted to make the changes to the settings of heading 1? What would we do? Then that means that we would select one of these options. Now we have prayer selected, but let's use this. What we want to do is to modify these headings, all of these, the 2 headings, to look the same as this second heading, which is reading the Lord. So after selecting, we shall move to option for heading 1. Then we right click. After right clicking, we should select this first option telling us to update to match the heading, to update heading 1 to match selection. So we click it once. After clicking, I think we can see we had this one, heading 2, reading the Lord. Now it had a red color. If we can click aside, these ones were not red and this one was not red. But now we have modified all these headings and they are looking like the second heading, which is the Lord. So that's how you can modify headings by simply clicking on one of them, and the rest will appear or will have the settings from that very heading. So we have seen these changes, and you may be asking yourself, why is it that all these headings have changed to red? Now we are going to undo. We move and we use this button for undo. So when you click undo, you will see that previously here we had blue color and here we had blue color. It was only this second heading with red. Now we can click on this first heading for Psalm 23. Now when you click on it, you realize that this heading, Psalm 23, is still linked to heading 1. And also when you click on this last paragraph or heading, you'll also see it is linked to heading 1. Therefore, this means that the changes that you make from this style, heading 1, will affect all the text that are linked to this very style. And that's the reason as to why when we changed basing on this second heading, everything had to change. The answer is simple. all these headings were linked to this style. And to make it clear once again to ourselves, let's this time use this first heading. We select it. Now we want changes in other headings to just appear like this first heading. After selecting, we move our mouse pointer to heading 1. We right click. After right clicking, we are going to select on this option for update heading 1 to match selection. We click on it. So after clicking on it, you can see that the second heading has also changed and the third one have all changed. They all look alike to this very first heading. Let's click and we see, if you look at the fonts, they are all the same. So that's why we said, because this one and this one are all linked to heading 1, so any setting change from heading 1 will always affect these text that are connected to that style. And as we saw, when we are making changes from our heading 1 settings, we can still right click again once more. So when you right click, we can also go ahead and do modification if we want. So let's click on it to see some of those options. So when you click on it, you see around here we have formatting options where you can change a lot of things and work with your headings in the document. And also you can decide to go ahead and use this option for format. If we click on it, you can go in details and work with the headings in your document. So if you would like to go ahead and try out, you can use all these options and see how they work. But for this time, we are going to cancel. So we click on the cancel option and we go back to our document. I hope you will try as much as possible to be very creative with your headings whenever you're dealing with your document. That's it for now. See you in our next tutorial.